Beyond the buzzer, inside the game, this is Sports IQ with Larry Smythe.
Hey, good Monday to you. Sports IQ is now on the air. We've got a lot of good stuff coming up. NBA season, NHL season, both are over, but we will celebrate the NBA and the champion New York Knicks by having Jasmyn Wimbish from CBS Sports joining us here in just a few moments. Jasmyn's been great all along, giving us her perception of the season and of the series as well. And so certainly now that it's over, I want to get her thoughts on this championship. And my goodness, what a truly crazy weekend it was. As the NBA and NHL both crowned new champions, each of which both ended extended championship droughts. Saturday in San Antonio, the Knicks, they did Knicks things and rallied one last time this postseason from a double-digit deficit, beating the Spurs 94-90 to claim their first NBA title in 53 years. And along the way, here's some of the Knicks notes from this postseason run. The Knicks won 13 straight games at one point and finished the postseason with a record of 16-3. 6 times the Knicks rallied from double-digit postseason deficits, including that 29-point rally in Game 4 of the finals. That really took the heart out of the Spurs. At that point, I just really felt, this is not boding well for San Antonio, and we talked about this last week, and it did not. Jalen Brunson, second highest point total in a clinching game with his 45 points Saturday night. The record is 50, shared by Giannis Antetokounmpo and Bob Pettit as well. Both had 50. Brunson tied the road record in a clinching game that had belonged to Michael Jordan with his 45 points. Overall, the Knicks' point differential of 14.9 points, the best in an NBA postseason ever. The old record had been 14.5, set by the Bucks and Lou Alcindor back in 1971. Knicks opponents shooting just 123 for 355. That's 34.5% on wide open three-pointers. That was the fifth lowest playoff mark among the 51 teams whose opponents attempted at least 200 wide open threes in the 13 seasons of tracking that data. So again, the Knicks just impressive in so many ways when you look at what they accomplished here in this series and in this entire postseason as well. When it came down to late clock scoring, the Knicks more than doubled their opponents there, drawing 17 more fouls, 49-32, than their opponents in the last 6 seconds of the clock. And part of that is just the Knicks playing much slower than their opponents. They're 16.1 seconds per possession. That was the highest average in the playoffs, while their opponent's rate, 14.3 seconds per possession, was the lowest opponent mark. And one more I want to get out there as well. The Knicks led the finals for only 57 minutes total compared to the Spurs leading 117 minutes. This New York team spent more time trailing than leading in the series, but they led at all the right times, and now here they are as the champion as they win this 4-1. So they end their championship drought that goes back to 1973. Great to see all those former Knicks there, Walt Frazier, Patrick Ewing. Ewing, how many years did he toil in New York trying to get a championship for this franchise but could not get it done? Jalen Brunson, the finals MVP, and we'll talk more about his performance in this Knicks team. Also a Spurs team. We'll get more to this a bit later on here in the show. That really, look, they were here a year or two early, right? Very young team, but boy, they're very talented. The future is still very bright for them. We'll have that conversation and much more coming up here in just a moment. Time now for today's moment of awe. And, cities will build dome stadiums to have perfect conditions for their contest, right? Well, would you believe there was once a contest scheduled to be played inside a dome stadium that was rained out? The Houston Astrodome, known as the Harris County Dome Stadium when it opened back in 1965, was quickly dubbed the eighth wonder of the world. The natural grass inside, of course, died, so it was replaced by an artificial surface we knew later on as AstroTurf. Former Houston Mayor Roy Hofheinz was inspired by the giant valerian that shielded spectators at Rome's ancient Colosseum. But none of that mattered 50 years ago today, June 15th, 1976, when the game between the Major League Baseball Astros and the Pirates was rained out. Massive flooding due to storms prevented most fans from getting to the stadium, and even the umpires were several hours late. So with the game called, they brought tables out on the field, and the teams had dinner together. A finishing touch to the night that a dome stadium witnessed a rainout. And that's your moment of awe.
You're listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smythe.
Sports IQ with Larry Smythe continues right now. NBA Finals, the season is done. New York Knicks are the champions. Joining us once again from CBS Sports is Jasmyn Wimbish, our friend. Jasmyn, great to see you again. We joked before that we all said, the Thunder are going to win this back in November. Nobody saw the Knicks coming with the first-year head coach, but give them credit the way they came through and earned this champion. They really just took the heart away from the Spurs night in, night out, and now they're sitting on top.
Yeah, it's truly phenomenal what the Knicks were able to do over this series because, I think a lot of people, you could look at it is the Spurs really could have been up in the series a number of ways. They blow a 29-point lead in game 4. First 2 games at home, there were, Wemby throws the ball off of Castle's back and in a game-winning situation. And there's so many mistakes that a Spurs team made that kind of exemplified the youth on that team and kind of the naive mistakes that young team made versus the experience and the veteran leadership that exists in the Knicks. And like you said, Mike Brown's first year here, but he's been around the block so many times versus Mitch Johnson on the sideline for the Spurs. And I think that, experience really shone throughout the series. And you have Jalen Brunson, finals MVP, somebody who nobody could have expected his career to go the way that it has. I mean, I was just thinking this morning, this guy is a Hall of Famer now, I know that it's the Basketball Hall of Fame and his college accolades probably would have gotten him there in a sense, but now you've got 2 college championships, you've got an NBA championship, finals MVP. If he ends up being part of the Olympic team in 2028, maybe he gets a gold medal there, and then that just only stacks to his resume. It was a phenomenal dominance by the Knicks and a complete meltdown by the Spurs.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. I know that we're going to talk more about that with the producer, Tony, kind of break down a little further. With Jalen Brunson, you're exactly right. It is rare these days to find a player who's won both one NCAA championship and an NBA title. Mm-hmm. Rare to have them with 2. I mean, because you don't see players very often. You don't see teams that get a chance to repeat or win 2 in 3 years like they did with Villanova. Obviously, UConn, back-to-back wins. Florida, it's pretty rare. And you're exactly right. Who would have thought his career would have gone this way when every team had a shot at him? And he fell to the second round, and yet he didn't, whatever the measurables are. And maybe this will force GMs to kind of stop and look at a player and say maybe he doesn't quite measure up, but there's something about him that makes him a winner. Yeah,
absolutely. I think I remember last time I jumped on with you guys, I had mentioned, I've had Jalen Brunson stock for a very long time since his college days. And I went back in the archive to try and find something I've written about him to have some sort of evidence. And I found this piece that I wrote, and the headline was Jalen Brunson will be the steal of the draft after the Mavericks picked him in the second round.
Wow.
And it was just like prophecy fulfilled. Like it's been very awesome to see how his career has taken shape. And obviously it's also fascinating to think about how different his career would have been had the Mavericks kept him and paid him, the measly contract that he was willing to sign. I mean, he takes a $100 million pay cut with the Knicks too, so that they can go out and get Karl Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, like all of these guys. So just a truly just humble guy who, nobody deserves it more than Jalen Brunson, to be honest.
Yeah. And even in the moment post game, the emotions, just several seconds of just silence trying to take it all in. That was authentic. Right. And to watch that was like, I don't know about you. I mean, I'm like, I know you root for him the way I do, in the same way, but it made me love the guy even more. I'm like, I mean, this is a genuine feeling. It's not just it's about me. He really is overwhelmed. He's an NBA champion. And look, as long as he is on this Knicks team, right? I mean, he's they've got a shot to be a contender every year. He's put himself into that pantheon of stars of NBA champions in the league right now.
Yeah, it's like you said, that moment of him winning and. I feel like a lot of times, especially now, so many things are so manufactured, so many moments, and being able to see him in that authentic, just, and he's a guy who's very stoic, he was very much like job's not finished, like kind of taking the Kobe-esque way of just being like, we're not done, I'm not going to celebrate anything. And to see him kind of overcome with emotion was a really cool sight to see. And I mean, the city of New York, I'm sure, is going to be ablaze on Thursday when they have their champion parade. I can't even imagine. It's insane.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the Spurs, look, we all talked about that they, are here a year or two early, right? I mean, we didn't think it'd be this soon that they did this. But at the same time, they showed against a veteran team with a veteran coach that they have a lot to learn. And this was certainly an experiment in that. And I'm sure they'll go back in the offseason, take a lot of time going over a lot of tape, a lot of film, and they'll be better by having this experience.
Yeah, I think that the immediate reaction, a lot of people are probably just like you said, this is a young team. This isn't, nobody's writing off the Spurs as like, oh, well, this was their one shot. No, this is the very, very beginning of something that, the worst thing that anybody wants to see is a very motivated Victor Wembanyama coming off a final performance that he had, as emotional and as passionate as that guy is, coming back into next season and seeing what he could potentially do. I know that some people have talked about the guys that he needs to be in the gym with this offseason. People have said he needs to go work with Tim Duncan, Dirk Nowitzki, like trying to figure out how he can elevate his offensive game. Because there were a lot of times in that series, I know before the series started, a lot of people were like, well, he's just going to dominate Karl-Anthony Towns. Cat can't defend. It's just going to be, they're going to have to figure out how to slow everyone else out on the Spurs. But that's not what happened. There were a lot of times where Wemby was being really passive, or he, was trying to take Cat one-on-one and he can't get by him, truly. So he's got to figure out how to diversify his skill set. But beyond that, I think the biggest question mark for the Spurs is, what do you do with De'Aaron Fox? I mean, the guy had a really disappointing performance in the finals. And I know he was hurt. He had an injured ankle there. But there were so many times where I was just watching him play. I'm like, these are the minutes that Dylan Harper should be getting. He should have been starting after game one, because this is the finals. This isn't like the first round of the playoffs where you can kind of let a guy kind of get into the moment. You only have so mmany chances in this series. And I just feel like Mitch Johnson really, that was a coaching error by him to keep De'Aaron Fox's minutes the way that he did.
Yeah, and and every time they just he's running the offense and they're settling for jump shots, and every single time they would come down, and that was a big difference, I think, in terms of the two superstars, Wembanyama and Brunson, and the difference in this series. Wembanyama and the Spurs settled for outside shots. They were almost scared of the moment. They didn't get inside. They didn't get to the paint. They didn't get the free throw line. Meanwhile, the Knicks did the exact opposite. Jalen Brunson is going to just crafty, find his way inside, or they're going to run a play to get a guy inside, or to Towns. And it's just that was to me, that was the kind of the microcosm of this series, that there was one that just was much more aggressive and the other that not so much.
Yeah. I mean, I think watching game 4, the Spurs get up to 29-point lead because they were making pretty much everything from 3-point range. But you and I and everybody who watches basketball and knows a crumb of basketball knowledge knows you can't live by 3-pointers. Like the whole, you live and die by threes. That's the entire saying. And so they come out in the second half and they're still shooting threes, even though they're not connecting. And there's no other offensive game plan. That's just unacceptable. It's just completely, and then it carries over into game 5. I was at a dinner, so I had to watch the game on my phone throughout it. But, watching this, and I'm just like, at the end of game 5, I mean, blown layups, just settling for jump shots. It's just like, I cannot imagine being a Spurs fan.
And in clutch in every loss, in clutch moments, bad ball handling. And you mentioned that Wemby with the bad throw and dribbling into traffic and losing the ball. I mean, there just were so many missed opportunities, and just unforced errors. Even to your point, it's you could almost go through every single game and say, well, the Spurs, if they did this one thing different, might be a different outcome. You're exactly right. By the way, one of the players I'd love to have to see Wemby play or work with would be Kareem. Someone just a slender center in terms of how to use your body. There's no question. By the way, producer Tony had a very quick tidbit he just sent me that's fantastic. The 3 times the Knicks won the NBA title, the MVP of the series was a second-round pick. Willis Reed in 1964. And then Brunson here. Pretty impressive.
That's insane.
Pretty impressive. Yeah. So, okay. Well, NBA season now, it's all said and done. 8 different champions in 8 years. So, boy, parity is here, alive and well. Now we go into the offseason. What are some things you're looking forward to, some storylines you're planning on following here in the next couple of months?
I mean, I think the number one storyline now that it's unfortunate the Knicks have won a championship after 53 seasons, and now everyone's talking about Giannis Antetokounmpo again. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think figuring out what happens with him and the Bucks, and there's some new nuggets of information out there. A lot of people are like, oh well, the Miami Heat are kind of the front runners to land him, but Boston seems like a team that is motivated to try and get something done. And if a Boston deal gets done, that means Jaylen Brown is going to the Milwaukee Bucks, but the
Mm-hmm.
reports were that he would get rerouted elsewhere. So it seems very complicated all around. I just hope that whatever happens, I just hope Giannis gets traded so that we can end this long 2-3 year struggle that has been going on that I'm so tired of talking about.
Right. That's a great point. Yeah, just in fact, it sounds like the Bucks owner, even he is ready. Just what,
Yes.
let's do something before the draft to getting that
Right.
done. Yeah,
Well,
you're
the draft is in
exactly
8 days,
right.
so short timeline for him. Get
You're
it done.
exactly right. Another player we talk about way too much in the offseason, LeBron James. What are you hearing right now in terms of his future and what he's thinking about?
I feel like I'm surprised there's not more,
Yeah.
nuggets out there about LeBron. I know that I feel like this is a lot different than years past where he was a free
Mm-hmm.
agent or impending free agent. And it's like, LeBron would drop little breadcrumbs on social media, or there'd be a lot of things behind the scenes on, oh, what is he going to do? Where is he going to go? And now it feels very silent. So I don't know what that means. And then there's the surprise third option if he could just retire, So
Right.
that's the other thing that I don't think anybody. I think people are prepared because it could very well happen, but I still
Mm-hmm.
think it would be a massive shock for his career to end just suddenly without no fanfare or anything
Mm-hmm.
like that. I know that Cleveland has been mentioned on the table several times, but I don't think Cleveland. I know that the latest thing was LeBron wouldn't take the minimum to go play in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably off the table for him to return there. Obviously, the Lakers would probably want to have him back in some capacity, but does he want to stay with the Lakers? I know that there was kind of some tension over the last, 2 years with the team and how he was treated or how things played out or whatever it is. But this is now Luka's team, so the interest should be about building around Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, who is going to get a big payday this summer as well.
Yeah, and that's the piece. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say a team is better off without LeBron. I mean, because obviously he's one of the GOATs. But for the Lakers, do they almost need to turn the page in terms of philosophically and make it more about Luka and not have to make sure LeBron feels good each night that he's getting the touches or whatever? Am I making sense?
Yes, I 100% agree. I think, the Lakers got gifted Luka Doncic on a silver platter.
Yeah,
Thankful to Nico Harrison. So
yeah.
I think now is the time that, I mean, Luka's 25, he'll be 26 next February. He's going to enter the peak moment of his prime. This is the time to build a championship contender around him. You can't keep, throwing money and assets towards LeBron just to keep him happy. And he's done great things for the franchise, but you kind of need to know when enough is enough and like, all right, this was a great run, but we have our second guy here who's going to lead us into the next, hopefully 5, 8, 10 years from now.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they need to be focusing on. And I forgot the
Yeah,
other team that's been mentioned with LeBron James is the Golden State Warriors, which is also a
yeah.
fascinating situation. You pair him up with Steph Curry. I don't even know what that looks like.
Yeah, I don't know. That's something I thought years ago would not have happened.
Mm,
LeBron just he can't play for or chooses not to play for a veteran coach, and I
right.
really wonder if part of that is if Steve Kerr stays, would LeBron go there?
Yeah.
But the one team he could go to in my opinion, in that type of situation, would be the Warriors because of the way Steph Curry plays. Steph
Yeah.
Curry. Even with Kevin Durant, you want to call it his team? I don't care. I just want to win. And I
Right.
think that's the one way because of Steph, that's the one team possibly with a veteran coach that LeBron might play for. I've got 30 seconds left here. Give us in your crystal ball as you're looking into, we mentioned Giannis and LeBron possibly. What's maybe a surprise situation or maybe something you're looking at that may happen that may surprise us or that we're not talking about here this offseason?
I feel like maybe one of the teams to watch this offseason would probably be the Minnesota Timberwolves. I feel like so many
Mm,
years of getting to the Western Conference Finals or falling just short of it. I feel like they're probably going to try and make kind of a big swing here to get Anthony Edwards over that hump to try and get to the finals, especially the Spurs performed so well this year and they're not going to go away.
right.
Neither is OKC. So I feel like Minnesota is going to be a team to watch to try and they're a team mentioned in connection with Giannis. There's been they're kind of being bent up about who, including Jaden McDaniels, in a trade for Giannis. They don't want to, but if that changes and Giannis lands in Minnesota, that's going to be an insane situation.
Yeah, you're right. You've got 2 ahead of you. You got to do something to try to keep up, no question. Jasmyn, always great to talk with you. Enjoy some downtime for the few days before the draft.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk with you soon. Jasmyn Wimbish joining us once again with CBS Sports. Always love having her here on the show. And like you said, she called it with Jalen Brunson years ago. We like talking to smart people smarter than us. There's proof right there. Jasmyn did it. All right, more to come. Stay with us.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past 2 years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage is only $75 per month, level for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can buy $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110. Guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rates for 20 years. And if you're a smoker, we have great rates for you as well. At the Term Lifeline, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. So if you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call right now for a free quote.
Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes are based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting exam required to qualify.
Call 855-826-7932. 855-826-7932. That's 855-826-7932.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
877-927-3380. 877-927-3380. That's 877-927-3380.
Welcome back here to the show. Larry Smith, Sports IQ. We've got, great guests later. We about to talk about the Carolina Hurricanes here in just a second. We've had their play-by-play man has come on more than once. He's going to come on as well here later on this week. We're going to give him a chance to I'm sure they partied pretty late, right? So once he gets settled in, we'll have him on. We can't wait to get his thoughts. Mike Maniscalco, again, he's the North Carolina, by the way, Sportscaster of the Year in 2026. So guy knows his stuff, friend of the show. We've had him on, and we can't wait to get his thoughts again as they celebrate their championship down in Raleigh. So once again, Carolina Hurricanes getting it done. NHL champs, they beat the Vegas Golden Knights Sunday evening. 3-0 was the score there to take that series 4-2. The only other time that Carolina won a cup was back in 2006, so a span of 20 years between cup wins. How key was their goalie switch for the Canes? Well, we pointed out last week that it took place, after it took place, Carolina then outscored the Knights 16-6 and won the final 3 games of the series. That's how big this was for the Hurricanes. Brandon Boose, the guy coming in net, was just spectacular. When you look at what he did, if you had him as a cup hero going into these finals, well, let's just say it's time for you to play the lottery because Frederik Andersen was the man coming in. But boy, he just could not stop the Golden Knights at any point. Boosty comes in and becomes just the third first-year goalie in NHL history to post a shutout in a cup-clinching game. The last netminder to do that way back to Earl Robertson of the Detroit Red Wings way back in 1937. That's how rare this is. Boose stopped all 22 shots that Vegas threw at him in Game 6 after the second period of Game 3. Finished the finals, by the way, with a 3-1 record and a minuscule 1.60 goals against average and a save percentage of .931. By the way, you mentioned Frederik Andersen. In his time in the Carolina Nets, his goals allowed average was 4.44. Remember we talked about that? And a save percentage of just .815. So again, Busey making that change. Rod Brindamore, the coach, that was outstanding. Jordan Staal, of course, making history as the oldest player to win the Conn Smythe Trophy at the age of 37 years, 277 days. Staal recording a goal in each of the first 5 finals games, and then he finished the series with 6 total. On top of that, Staal was a pest defensively and won 69% of his faceoffs as well. Jordan Staal, what a series. He had 17 years after winning his first Stanley Cup as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Staal finally getting his hands on that iconic trophy for the second time. So congratulations to the Carolina Hurricanes, champions for the second time. Vegas Golden Knights, one of the newer teams in the league, and amazing third time to the finals. They come up short this time, but what a run they made, knocking off top seed Colorado in the West just to get to the finals and really giving this Carolina team all that they wanted. Let's talk about one season still going on now with the NHL done, NBA done, the Major League Baseball season. And in case you have not been paying attention, we are seeing one player put up numbers that come along maybe once in a generation. And we're not talking about Paul Skeens, okay? In baseball history, there have been a few times when starting pitchers are just dominant in a season for an extended period of time. And we're not talking about long winning streaks. I mean, that happens all the time. But we are talking about shutting them down. Offenses that, they become almost unhittable. And one of the best was Bob Gibson back in 1968. From June 6th to July 30th of that year, Gibson pitched 11 straight complete games. Think about that. He pitched 99 innings, giving up just 6 earned runs in that span, an ERA during that span of 0.54. He had 8 shutouts during that run, including one stretch from June 6th to June 28th for Gibson, where he pitched 5 straight shutouts. Think about that. Gibson 11-0 in that 2-month stretch, on his way to one of the greatest seasons ever by a pitcher in Major League Baseball history. Well, 20 years later, Orel Hershiser coming along and had a record that still stands in the record books today in one glorious September run for Hershiser. The Dodger righty pitched 6 straight complete games, throwing 55 consecutive shutout innings along the way. Just simply amazing. Orel Hershiser, what he did that year. He was 5-0 in that stretch, giving up just 30 hits, 34 strikeouts, and had an ERA of 0. As you might imagine, he went on to win the Cy Young Award with a record of 23-8 and ERA of 2.26. Okay, that brings us to 2026 and what Jacob Misiorowski has been doing, the streak that puts him in the company of both Gibson and Hershiser, what he's been doing. Misiorowski, since May 1st, over his last 8 starts, the Miz simply unhittable. Friday night at home, he beat Philly 6-0 with a 1-hitter and struck out 15 Phillies. In these 8 starts, how does that sound? 7-1. The only defeat coming at the hands of San Diego, where he gave up just 4 hits, but took the loss in a 3-1 game. His line looks like this: 54 1/3 innings pitched. He's allowed just 19 hits, striking out 80 batters while walking just 9. He has given up just 1 earned run in that 8-game stretch. And his ERA, while not as good as Hershiser's, is still a microscopic 0.16. Don't wreck your car. Yeah, if you have a chance to see this young man when he comes to your city, you need to do it. On the opposite end of the Miz was the offensive output of the A's and Rockies series in Vegas. The A's took 2 out of 3 from Colorado. And get this, the two teams combining to score 54 runs across the 3 games. Sunday, the Rockies turned to put up some numbers in the record books. Willie Castro had 7 RBIs. Hunter Goodman getting 5 hits. The Rockies setting a franchise record for runs with a 23-9 victory over the A's. By the way, that afternoon, scorching sun at the Las Vegas ballpark, 101 degrees. All right, we're getting some AC. More to come here on the Sports IQ. Let's continue here at Sports IQ with Larry Smith, producer Tony joining us right now. And Tony, you've been talking. You and I've, man, we've had these conversations for more than 30 years, going back to our CNN Sports days. Look, a lot to dissect here as this NBA Finals in this season now that it's over. First things first, let's give credit to the Knicks coming through. They were the 3 seed. We forget how dominant they were in the postseason. they weren't favored. They're only, they had home court edge in the Eastern Conference Finals because number 1 seed Detroit lost in the second round. Number 2 seed Boston lost in round 1. But they show that even home court edge doesn't matter. They had the heart of a champion, great medal throughout, and now they're NBA champions.
Yeah, this team was just splendid throughout these playoffs. 9-1 record on the road in the playoffs.
Wow.
That's impressive. They were 3-0 in San Antonio during this series, won all 3 games in San Antonio. That is impressive. And they got great play from so many different people. Obviously, Jalen Brunson put the team on his back in game 5, 45 points. I think the rest of the team had 49 points?
Yeah.
Everybody else combined?
Yeah.
I mean, he was a one-man show. Figured at some point the Spurs might figure out a way to stop him, but never could. He would get to his spots, he'd get his shot off, he'd drive, he was blowing past people. Just an unbelievable performance. And, they're not at that point of being able to win that game without OG Anunoby with that tip in game 4. And he had a couple of games where he was on fire from 3. And they got games in the beginning from Cat where he was besting Wemby. Just an all-around great team effort. And let's call out Jalen Brunson for what he did. He went to the Knicks as a free agent, ostensibly, he said, because he wanted to play on a team with his dad, and his dad was one of the coaches. And he got that chance, but he also took less money. He took less money so that they could get people around him, so that they could build a team, so they could make playoff runs, so that they could be more than just one person. Pass that note around to some other folks in the NBA.
Yeah.
If you want to make a ton of money, go for it. If you want to be on a winning team, maybe take a bit less. None of y'all are going poor. None of y'all are going to be in a soup line anytime soon. So, you take a few dollars less now, maybe have a little bit better team, maybe have some extra depth. It all works out in the end. And what a great time for those 3 guys from Villanova, Mikal Bridges, Josh Hart, and Jalen Brunson. The first trio of college athletes to win a title in college and then win an NBA title as well as teammates. Hats off to those guys.
Yeah, I thought that was a really neat. I'm glad they pointed that out after the telecast, after the game, and during the post game Saturday night. That what they did, and I hate repeating myself, but Tony, you know this. I'm a huge Jalen Brunson fan just for that reason, that he's a guy that was always overlooked. Goes to Villanova, wins 2 titles. Right now, he gets to be reunited with these guys. He's drafted early second round. Everyone's passed on him in the first round. Early second round by Dallas. Gets him, I think, to the conference finals, signs the contract. So he's already making $25 million a year, and realizes, I don't have to have $45 million. I'd rather have a title. Right. And that's one thing they talked about, that in the contract, he took a deal that was $100 million less than what he was eligible for. And like you said, that just never happens. But look at the money he's going to make back in his just in endorsements. We've already seen him doing different endorsements the past couple of years. One with his Villanova guys. He did one with the AT&T commercial. You're in New York and you're a champion. And so Matt, and you're the MVP. You're the face of the franchise. And right now, for the moment, the face of the league. So he's going to cash in big time in Madison Avenue because of that. I'm a huge fan of Jalen Brunson, the 45 points. And every single game, we talk about the comebacks and the Spurs having double-digit leads and losing him. A big reason they lost him was Jalen Brunson. He never got rushed. He never changed his approach, and just a veteran, very savvy way getting to the rim when the Spurs were settling for jump shots. He was getting to the rim and scoring and winning.
Yeah, absolutely. And, those endorsements just from New York City alone, let's forget about the national endorsement.
Right.
He's going to get that $100 million back just in New York, because that every board of directors, every company's meeting going, okay, we need a spokesperson. Who knows Jalen Brunson? Who's got his agent's number? Let's get on the phone. Let's see what it's good. This is what we got to offer him.
Yeah.
How soon can we get a commercial out there? How soon can we get a shoot happening? How soon can we get endorsed for this, that, or the other thing? And good for him. That's how you make up that money. And like I said, there's a whole lot of NBA players. There's a whole lot of NFL players too that can take a lesson from this. How bad do you want the title?
Yeah.
Do you want the title bad enough to take a few less dollars, or is your earning potential the most important thing to you? Which, if it is, that's fine.
Yeah.
Just don't complain if you never get that title.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a thing now. There's the way that the cap is structured and the way teams are structured. I'm a big fan of that. Karl Anthony Towns, I've talked about. Johnny Calipari players. There's so many Kentucky guys in the pros. Not many get to win rings. And Karl Anthony Towns really stepped up his game, was a star in Minnesota, the trade a couple years ago to New York. And now he's come through with several double-doubles, a big part of this Knicks team. And now he also is a champion.
Absolutely. I mean, they got contributions everywhere. Landry Shamet, as we talked about before, didn't have a contract.
Yeah.
Right before the season started, the Knicks took a flyer on him, figuring, he can shoot the three, gives us some bench depth. He was a key piece throughout that series, on a 1-year deal. They just got a lot going on in New York. They got a lot of positive energy going on, and it just seemed to feed and build with every game that they won in this postseason.
Yeah, no question. OG Anunoby mentioned him, played the 1 year at Indiana. His second ring actually was on the Toronto Raptors when they won it several years ago. Part of this run of 8 straight years and 8 different champions. And he was there. And Mike Brown, we've talked about this, rare. Not sure this is right. 7th coach to win this century, to win in his first year as coach, I think I saw. But what he's done, again, we talked about, 19 years ago, he was the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers when LeBron James led them against the Spurs and they were swept 4-0. You can see a difference here in the coaching of Mike Brown, having been around and coached the Warriors, coached the Kings. And now he's with the Knicks first year. Same core of guys last year that couldn't get it done and hit the right buttons. And now he can say he's a championship-winning head coach.
Absolutely. And, that was a great job by the Knicks to realizing, look, whatever was going on between Thibodeau, the players, and everything else wasn't working.
Yeah.
We weren't able to get it done. So can't change out all the players. Let's change out the coach and see what happens. And Mike Brown was a good stabilizing influence. And Larry, what I liked was, and he really outcoached Mitch Johnson in this series.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against Mitch Johnson. He's young. San Antonio is his first head coaching job. He's got some things to learn. But Mike Brown was making changes and substitutions based on the situation at hand. So many times you saw the exact same subs coming in at the exact same time of the exact same quarter in the exact same order.
Yeah.
His substitution pattern was very robotic. It was, very planned out, which is fine in the regular season. It really is. But you've got to be able to change once the playoffs hit, especially when the finals hit, when the only thing that matters is getting those 4 wins. Yeah. And I thought Mike Brown really, really outcoached Mitch Johnson throughout this entire series.
I agree with that. And I think the Spurs really showed their youth, not only on the bench. Mitch Johnson took over for Greg Popovich early last season. So this was his second season as coach, but his first full season, to your point, where it's his team from training camp moving forward. And also just in terms of the players being mature. Victor Wembanyama, we discussed the flagrant fouls and some of the temper things throughout the playoffs. He's got some growing up to do there, and we believe that he will. De'Aaron Fox was somebody that just in the clutch did not come through. And you saw that in Game 5. My wife and I are watching, and she said, I don't even care what the score is till the fourth quarter. It just doesn't matter. And it didn't matter. In all 4 losses in this series, the Spurs had double-digit leads and lost them. All 4. And this was another one. They're up big first half. The Knicks just slowly just chip away at it. And then in the fourth quarter, once it's crunch time, bad ball handling leads to a live ball turnover and a bucket on the other end. And then here we go. Now you're panicking. Now you're settling for 18-foot jump shots and missing. There's no rebounding. Here come the Knicks the other way. Brunson muscling his way to the basket. I counted in those final 5 minutes, and I think the Spurs only got inside like maybe 3 times. Where the Knicks did every single time. And that's what they would do. They kept the 29-point lead. How do you lose that when you're leading, 25 at halftime or something? How you do it is you shoot 8 straight 3-pointers and miss. Yep. And you let the other team come back in the game. And so that's another thing that I think when they look at this game film and the films of the entire series, hopefully they will see that and make those adjustments next time. Certainly a learning experience for the Spurs.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is for the Spurs is they've got a great core, right? This is a team, and the announcers said it, at the game Saturday night. We are going to be back here for many more finals games over the next few years if they can keep this core together. With Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, Victor Wembanyama, they've got a big three as good as any in the league.
Yeah.
They've got to develop those players around them. The biggest thing that I see from covering basketball for the past 30 years is they need somebody else in that power forward role that's bigger and bulkier, that can move, that can be a more of an inside authoritative presence than Wembanyama can be. And that'll help Wemby take some of that pressure off of having to be the only punch. Because what you saw most times was four guards. Yeah, Devin Vassell kind of playing that power forward, but he isn't a classic power forward. Neither is Kendrick Johnson, Keldon Johnson, that classic power forward. They're smaller. They're not quite as strong. He needs somebody inside that can be the muscle, maybe the Charles Oakley, kind of figure from years gone by, things like that. That's something that I think the Spurs need to look at in this roster creation. And, again, the Spurs never recognized what a star they had in Dylan Harper. I don't know if he should have been starting. I don't know how that would have gone over in the locker room after having De'Aaron Fox start the whole season, but he was clearly the better option in the backcourt throughout this series with his scoring, with his rebounding, with his defense. The kid is going to be a true superstar. I read some things online that said he wasn't happy with the way he's used. Look, the Spurs got to figure that out. You need to keep this kid happy because he and Wembanyama and Castle give you the chance to go to the finals every year now for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. And as we talk about Oklahoma City now with some question marks here, the other power team in the West right now as we go into the offseason, they have some question marks in how will they adjust. And so for the Spurs, you keep these three together. That's a core that could be very, very impressive. All in all, I think this NBA season, how exciting is it? Again, we've talked about 8 different champions in 8 years. So we went in thinking the Thunder were going to just come through and just be crowned again, and rightly so. But when you look at what they've done, the way that they play the early, unbeaten streak early in the season, but the Spurs coming through, won 4 or 5 from them. And that's the thing. My question for you, Tony, is the Knicks are the team. Will they be the team next year in 2027?
I think they've got a good heads up on it. I don't think the roster, as the way it's constructed, necessarily makes them an automatic comeback. Look, they had to rally. They won 6 games where they trailed by double digits in these playoffs.
Yeah.
You can't count on that every year. Look, you caught lightning in a bottle this year, but you still have some work to do. Mitchell Robinson is a nice compliment to Towns. His free throw shooting is abysmal. You need something better, hopefully backing up Karl Anthony Towns than that along the way. You've got some pieces in play in New York that might be able to help out Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, so they don't have to carry quite so much of a load. I think they're going to be very good. And remember, this was a team that stayed healthy for the most part this year.
Right.
An injury or two, you're talking about a different champion being crowned at the end of this season.
Yeah, no question. Detroit right there, they've got a young core as well, and they use this to grow this experience. The number 1 seed getting knocked out. Boston will have Jason Tatum healthy for a full season. Tyrese Halliburton's back with Indiana. So, we'll see how Cleveland, what they do, off-season moves. But, again, fun season, no question, and the Knicks deserve champions first time since 1973. That's the NBA story. How about Lord Stanley Cup and the Carolina Hurricanes? We'll break down the NHL and their season up next.
Listen, were you forced into getting a solar contract and now you just don't want it anymore? Maybe the solar company misled you. Or is your solar contract buried with hidden fees? Are you not saving the amount of money you thought you would on your energy costs? Don't worry. At the Solar Exit Hotline, we can help you cancel your solar contract, even if the panels are already installed. Our experienced legal team will review your contract and help you cancel it, possibly saving you thousands of dollars. You gotta call right now for complete details. So listen, if you're not happy with your solar contract for any reason, we are here to help you cancel it. Call the Solar Exit Hotline now for immediate options to help you exit your solar contract. This call is 100% free.
Call 855-227-0286. That's 855-227-0286. Call us right now.
welcome back here to the show. Larry Smith still talking with the producer Tony. And Tony, I'm a hockey fan. You're a diehard hockey fan. But love what this Carolina Hurricanes team did. Just the one loss to sweep through the Eastern Conference side of the bracket. Really had to battle with Vegas. But boy, what a decisive win to clinch this cup. 3-0 in that Game 6 on road ice to get the win. Great way to finish the season.
Yeah, they were, solid throughout. They played really good defense, got timely scoring, but this team really came together towards the end when they inserted Brandon Boose. Now, Brandon Boose's a guy, Larry, I don't think a lot of people realize this guy has less than 50 games of NHL experience.
Wow.
At 27 years old coming into these playoffs. He had been the backup this year, didn't get a lot of work, 20-something games across the regular season. Most of it went to Frederik Andersen, had been kind of a career minor leaguer, but stepped up big time when his team needed it most. And I'm sure at some point he's going to cash in huge off of this performance in the contract-wise. But he was really a steadying influence, gave them great goaltending between the pipes. Some of the saves he made were just unbelievable. He was in the right place at the right time. His anticipation looks great on shots. The Carolina Hurricanes, and he was so classy at the end. He, in the post-game press conference, went out of his way to thank Frederik Andersen. Frederik showed me so many things, taught me so many things. He's been an inspiration. He was coaching me throughout this series. So, that is a great thing as well, because, sometimes, and yes, there were talks about Andersen being hurt. They said an upper body injury, but nobody ever explained what it was or why it was. But, it could have been a divisive point. Instead of they came together behind Brandon Boose, and Andersen is part of that. The two of them deserve this cup. Having your name etched on that thing just means everything to a hockey player. It's what they all dream about. It's what they, skate on the backyard ponds for. It's what they play for and look forward to. And hats off to the Canes. And how about Jordan Staal at 37 winning that Conn Smythe trophy? Just had a tremendous postseason. If you're Jordan Staal, do you come back to try to go back-to-back? Maybe. If I'm Jordan Staal and I'm 37 years old and I've done pretty much everything I wanted to do in the hockey league, this be a great way to go out. Go out on top, Conn Smythe trophy winner, got to hoist the cup. See ya. I'm going to go enjoy the rest of my life.
Yeah. There are no better ways to go out, right, than on top and the MVP of a championship run at the same time. You're exactly right. I just love this for the franchise. And again, the same situation, one, not quite as long as the Knicks, but 20 years since they've won one. And we go back to, again, seeing these different teams in there. Florida's won the last couple, Vegas before that. Tampa Bay has been in the mix. So not quite as often, the parity isn't quite on the level of the NBA. But at the same time, we've had several different champions now in the last decade. And now Carolina joins that group.
And all in the Sun Belt, Larry. The last 7 NBA champions, you include Vegas in that run, have all been located in the Sun Belt. You don't have a traditional hockey city since the Blues won the Cup title, beating Boston in 7 games. So the Sun Belt has really become a hockey hotbed. Let's just say, at least professionally. Carolina, so good, so many chances to get to a Cup final. Finally broke through this year. Got to give them all the props in the world. Florida will be back next year. Tampa is still a strong outfit. They're getting a little long in the tooth, but I'm sure they're going to be back competing. And the whole Eastern Conference was very tough. Up-and-comers now, Buffalo, Montreal coming back. Don't count out Toronto. They got the first pick of the draft coming up here. It's going, the offseason is going to be interesting in the NHL to see who can make what moves and keep their rosters intact or improve their rosters to see how things shake out for next season.
Yeah, and that's the fun part now, to kind of see how these teams all retool here in the offseason, getting ready for to chase Lord Stanley's Cup in 2027. Well, that's our show for today. We appreciate Jasmyn Wimbish stopping by from CBS Sports. Appreciate you as always. Make this a great Monday, and we'll talk to you tomorrow here on the Sports IQ.
Thanks for listening to Sports IQ with Larry Smith, Monday through Friday. Continue the conversation at Sports IQ LS. We'll see you next time.